Hello, good morning. Okay, so welcome to day 3. What I want to talk about today is your negative emotions and how those affect your symptoms and how you can hear those before they spiral. So what am I talking about here? Okay, so the first thing is, say, let's just take something that's not your symptoms. Let's just take an everyday or, a not so great day occurrence. So say you wake up and immediately you can feel your symptoms and you start to think, oh man, it's not going to be a great day or whatever. But you just kind of go with it because immediately your kids are waking up and you need to be with them. And say you're running late, say you've woken up late, and now you need for them to cooperate. And say they're not cooperating and they're not listening, and you have to say things 10 times, 20 times. There's whining and crying and complaining and things breaking down and people getting upset. And say now you get into a fight with your husband. Say it doesn't go well and you're arguing about something. And you don't have any time to resolve it, and you're still trying to get your kids to listen who aren't listening, and the clock is racing, and maybe somebody opens the door and lets the dog out and the dog runs away, and you go out into the car and you realize that you can't find your keys, and now you're going to be late, and maybe an email comes in about something that you have to do, and stresses you out, and you can't talk to your husband about it because you're arguing and your kids are still nagging at you. Okay, so let's take a breath. Okay, so it's one of those mornings, okay? Now, at the point when you lose it and you start to yell or you cry or you break in frustration, it's too late, right? Your negative emotions have already spiraled. And such is life for everybody. This happens to everybody, so you are not alone. But this also happens with our symptoms. Right? We hear one piles on the next. We're not paying attention. We push through. We do something maybe we shouldn't have done. This symptom nags at us. This symptom nags at us. We need to get this done. So we ignore it, avoid it, and continue, doing this or that and the other. And then at one point we just break down and we lose it and we say, I can't, manage my symptoms. I can't be alive like this. We start to cry, or we scream in frustration, or whatever it is. So this happens in life and this happens with symptoms, and we need to be able to listen to our internal guidance system and see when it happens and release the valve, because what happens is it's like a pressure cooker building up with pressure, building up with steam, right? So I'm just trying to get a spot here that the glare of the sun isn't in my eyes. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to release the pressure. Release the pressure so that the valve opens up and the steam comes out. Not so that it does it all at once and blows a hole through the roof, right? We want to work slowly and smartly. We want to release the pressure all like little bits the whole way, so that we never have this big explosion of the pressure cooker going off. Right? And we don't want it to build up to the point that that's the only way that the steam can escape. Okay, so let's talk about life and then let's talk about symptoms. So for life, say that happens. You wake up, you're late, your stress is high, you're in fight or flight. Your children are not listening, they're whining, complaining, breaking down, having fits on the floor. You and your husband are in an argument. All these things are happening. And as it's escalating, you're not letting out the valve, right? It's kind of building. The tension is inside you, escalating. And at one point, you just sort of lose it. You snap at the kids, or you snap at your husband, or, you slam a door, or you walk out of the house and cry, or whatever it is, however you release that tension. Here's the thing. We need to realize when that tension is building. We need to stop and focus inward. Like, okay, I need a minute. Like early on, right? When, after the first 2 or 3, 4 times that you've said something to your kids and you realize that they're not listening and that they're in cranky moods and that you're running late, and you realize that stress has been building, that's when we need to sit with our feelings, take 5 minutes, just tell everybody you need 5 minutes, go into the bathroom, and I would suggest journaling. So just get a piece of paper and a pen, or in your head or on your computer or whatever it is, you set a timer, 5 minutes, and you just write about all the stress that you feel and let it escape. Let it escape. Because if you don't, it builds, right? And it has to come out verbally or emotionally or through tears or through yelling or through anger or through some other way. So we release and we sit with those feelings for 5 minutes, and we release them, and we pay them attention, and we realize what's happening, and we connect to our body, and then we release that tension. And then the next thing would happen, the dog runs away, or the argument with the husband, and maybe it's too intense and you can't work through it, and the time is still, you've got to take that 5 minutes, go in, journal again, figure out what's happening, let your emotions rise to the top, give yourself love, and move on. So these are in 5-minute increments that you can sit, meditate, or journal, or connect with what's happening and the rising feeling of agitation or discomfort, and notice it, let it out, and reset before moving on. Then you can get through the whole morning without having that major blow up, that pressure cooker valve going off. And you can be proud instead of feeling guilty and in a bad mood for hours after everybody goes off to work because it because you yelled at somebody, or you weren't proud of how you acted because of all the pressure building up. Now we can be proud of how we act. Now we can be a good parent. We can be a good wife. We can be the kind of person who can take action and just go get the dog who ran away, or email somebody back and say we're going to be late, or take it with a cool head, because we've sensed these things as they started to rise. Within moments of that feeling coming on, we're giving it attention and we're releasing it as it needs to. Now, same things with symptoms. So as you notice a symptom, something's not right, this needs my attention, maybe we need to journal again, we need to slow down, we need to meditate, we need to rest, or we need to move, or we need to do something in our experience that has helped minimize pain or suffering or symptoms at that moment. Because if we push through with our life, if we push through with other things, it's only going to rise. It's going to make the symptoms worse and worse and worse and worse until we're in a situation we're at, a 10, we're maxed out with pain or suffering, and then we can't do anything. So when we feel the symptoms and when we feel the suffering or when we feel the pain, that is when we need to stop, take action. Whether you need to put ice on a part that's in pain, or stop and breathe, or rest, or meditate, or have a certain supplement, or eat a certain food, or drink some water, do an enema, whatever it is that you do and that has helped you, smell some essential oils, whatever it is. Okay, I'm not telling you what the answer is here. Whatever you've noticed in the past that has helped, we're going to take these little steps now as the symptoms are building, before they've built to the level that we can't affect it with any change, or we can't affect it with smaller things. So we need to realize that we need to do things with our life and with our symptoms as it rises in both areas. Because the life one, if we let the tension rise inside us, the symptoms are going to rise. And for the symptoms, if we let the symptoms rise up, then the tension is going to happen in our life. So they're interchanged and they're interchangeable. So when you notice something not going on in your life right, and you're starting to have any kind of negative energy or feelings towards anything that's happening, you need to stop. Pay attention to it right now. Journal right now. Talk about it right now. Get it out right now. Solve it right now, instead of letting it build. And same with your symptoms. When you feel a symptom, you need to stop. Pay attention to it. Give it what it needs. Soothe it in some way. Look for comfort. Try to bring yourself back to a physical level that you can manage, rather than continue on with life and letting things build. So this is one way, and this is the way that we're going to focus on today, to hear our internal selves, to hear it when it begins in both our emotions, and to hear it when it begins in our physical sensations. And try to solve it early. Try to hear it early. Try to deal with it early. Try to take action early, so that we don't build symptoms to a pressure cooker level, and we don't build emotions to a pressure cooker level. So this is the lesson for today. Give it a try. Focus on it all day, and don't let these things build. Solve them as they're smaller, and watch what happens.